Hey, welcome, Gary Fortune on. Mail time. Got this in the mail. Actually came from Christ Center Ironworks up in Michigan. If you haven't followed him, I'll leave a link to his YouTube channel. He does giveaways and teaches blacksmithing, and it's everything about blacksmithing. He's got a great channel, a lot of lessons, and he does giveaways on Friday nights. And I won something, and it arrived in the mail. It's just got a lot of tape on it. I need to sharpen my knife. Now he sells these on a website they have for tools. And what this is a guillotine tool for blacksmithing. He has his own plasma table, so he cuts this. I believe he cuts these out himself. I don't think he has it done. Not positive on that, but I believe he cuts it out. Very cool. So actually, this is an A-frame style that he sells. He also sells a C style, which is a little bit bigger. But I actually won this on his channel. He does a once-a-month giveaway, and I got lucky and won. Thank you. It's Roy Adams and his wife Jessica over Christ Center Ironworks. Good channel, you ought to go watch it. I'll have a link to their channel down below too. When you go to his site, say you buy one of these kits to weld up, he'll have links in the description of the kit showing how to put them together. And I went ahead and watched those just to see what he had to say about them. And one thing he does is, this is the bottom, and what you do is you get a flat piece like this to go in the hardy, and it'll, oops, get my hand out of the way. So that fits down your hardy hole on your anvil, and then the guillotine tool sitting on top of that. And to leave the room along the edges here, he talks about drilling a hole in here, and then you can plug weld it. So you just put it in here and you plug weld it in the center. That way you don't have a big buildup of weld along the corners here. What I did is I went over to my belt grinder, and I just knocked off the edges. I'll show you that real quick here. What I'll do is I'll weld in here so it's flush. Now I cut up my own, this is a C style. I cut this up and made it a long time ago. And I just welded it together real quick. And I made it where it'll bolt together. So I can take it apart in case something gets stuck. Put too much of a gap, so it's a little on the sloppy side, which I don't like. But I'd gone to my local metal supplier, and he happened to have this piece of cold roll. It's not high carbon steel or anything. It's still mild steel, but it's cold roll. So, but it's more accurate of a measurement, cold roll is, than hot roll. And I bought this a long time ago for that guillotine tool. So I've already cut up all kind of different pieces here, and I experimented with some like that, but you can see how they mushroomed out. And I have some blanks here that I cut up that I've never turned into anything, and I think I'm going to roll the edges of these and make them fullers. So the way this kit works, this is the bottom, and these two go like this, and then this is your die for working. I'm going to put that in there, put this on top, and then all that except for this, you wrap this with paper so they have a little bit, so you're not tight on there and you won't be able to get it out. You want a little bit of gap, so you wrap it with paper so you will cause a gap, and you weld it. And you weld this under the bottom, and you're done. Cut these about 2/3 of the way. He said about 2.5 inches or so. Now this is a 1/2 inch thick by 1.5 inches. So what comes with a C type is a 5/8 inch thick with 1.5". And I had all this 2" for using. So what I think I'm going to do is, and these are all cut at 7 inches, and I just happened, these were all cut at 7 inches as well. And what I think I'm going to do here is, when I set these on, I'm going to come back 1/4 inch like this. That way I can use my 2" and I'll just weld along these edges. And it'll have a little wider piece in there, but it'll work. And if I still want to use this one, I'm going to take first, and I looked around through my metal, and I happen to have 1/4 by 1/2. So if I don't have this in there, and I did want to use this, I'm going to have these that I could slide down in between and take up the space. But I want them to be the same length, and I just found 2 pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this together and grind it off flat and make one long enough, and then I'll cut this in half so that I have enough to slide in here as spacers. So the first thing I'm going to do is weld these together, and then I'm going to wrap this, or one of these here, little longer ones, I'm going to wrap this in paper and use that for my spacer. Then I'll weld all this to this and do all the welding. I just got to figure out which welder I want to use. Maybe I'll use all 3 of them and start putting this together. So let's get started. Okay, so the block is 6 inches, so I want to cut it off at 12, and then cut that in half at 6. Okay, I want to set this. Don't want to forget to change these things back from cutting to welding. I'm just going to MIG weld this since it'll be faster. Mainly want to get these bottoms lined up and then get the edges along here equal. Tack one side. Well, I looked up and saw that quick videoing, so I'll find out when I edit how much you didn't see, but I had that wrapped up in there, and I tacked once. I got one side all lined up here, you know, like this, and then I tacked it. Then I flipped it over, and I lined up the other side, so it was all even, and even down the sides, and I tacked it. This was still wedged in, though. After I tacked it, I had to get a punch, or had to get a punch and my hammer, and go over the vise and hammer it out. Once I got it started, it came out. So let's see. Maybe I run a little file in there or something. There's a little lip on there. I should have ground those down before I started. that's no big deal. Same thing on this end, even though it's never going to go out this end because it's going to be welded. There we go. So if you're going to do this, don't do like I did. Dress these corners up, these edges up, all the way around, which I didn't do. That'll help you a little bit in the end. And most likely you're going to just use what Roy sells, which is this 1.5 inches. And if you do, these sides are going to be flush instead of sticking out like mine is. But mine's an oddball, so. So now, looks like it's 1 inch exactly away from the edges. Now for this direction, inch and looks like 3/16. And 1 inch and 3/16. Well, how's this pure luck here? Now to get the bottom. All right, got that centered. Need to tack it. So while that's cooling down some, I'm gonna go take one of these and turn it into a fuller die over at the grinder. I've got more grinding to do, but here's a little tip for you. If I hadn't cut this already, when it was to length, if you're going to grind two ends like this, make it a lot easier on yourself. Don't cut it. You know, you want just taking while it's together, cut one end, grind one end, and then flip it over and grind the other, so you have a big huge handle and you're not trying to hang on to this little teeny piece here. And just make it a lot easier on yourself. So grind this end and grind this end, and then cut it, and you can just flip them even toward yourself. There you go, my tip of the day. I think that'll work. And they're hot. Okay, let's see what we got so far. It's just cooled down enough now. I can finish cooling off the rest of the way. So I got it all welded. I just use the MIG gun. It's good enough. Made the dies. Put the first one in the bottom, like so. Another one on top. There you go. So let's see how it works. We'll fire up the forge, get something hot. Worked pretty well. Now I'm just playing around, seeing how small I can neck it down. So just in case I want to use their 1.5" by 1/2" dies, and cut these. Of course I can't in there now because it's too sloppy. Now these 1/2" by 1/4" I had, they're hot roll, and so they had edges on them and rough. So I had to find go over to the belt grinder and kind of grind them flat and get the burrs off. Otherwise it wasn't fitting. So they just slide down in like that. And then I had to also grind the ends off of this because there was a lip on there. But then you just put that in there, run it down. So I can use that if I want to, or take the spaces out. Use my 2". So I like the way this one works a lot better than the one I made on my own, where I just basically I just eyeballed it, drew stuff out, just cut it, and try to weld it together, and I got it too sloppy. So I'll probably be using this one instead of mine. And they're really nice. They work great. Like I said, I want them. I want to thank Roy and Jessica over at Christ Center Ironworks for putting on the giveaway. They do it once. They do it on. I think you do it once a month. They have streams all the time. Just go over to Christ Center Ironworks. Look in the description for the YouTube channel. Roy over there has a ton of how-to videos, so if you're wanting to get into blacksmithing, he covers pretty much everything. And he has some great lessons, and you can just find about everything you want to do from beginners up to advanced. And I hope you all have a blessed day, and get out there and forge something. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye now.